Perfect. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ricardo Gutierrez. I'm the Broward Mobility Program Manager here at the Broward MPO. I want to thank you for joining us for the March 14th CSEC meeting. We have a very exciting agenda planned for you guys. We're going to take you from planning all the way to construction. We're going to start with presentations from our team here of the Roadway Safety Audits Program, so recently established at the MPO, where we identify projects. We're going to go and talk about some of the design presentations, some of the design projects that we have. Particularly the project we're presenting today, the Pembroke Road project, is very exciting because not only are we doing capacity improvements, but how the consulting team, FDOT design team, is actually working with the local governments and the community to really enhance that project and include some multimodal elements as well. And then we'll talk about some of our construction folks. We don't really, as a planning agency, we don't typically deal with a lot of construction, but we are to partner with FDOT to construct all our projects. So a good presentation from them regarding the coordination that needs to take place to really implement projects successfully. Just housekeeping here. I think all of us have been doing this for the last 2 years, so I just go over this real quickly. If you want to ask a question, please raise your virtual hand. And if you're using the phone, please use *6 to unmute yourself and *6 to mute yourself again. As always, we do have Mentimeter questions throughout the presentations or after each presentation. So if you can go to menti.com and enter this code, it will give you access to actually provide some responses. Or you can also scan the image on the screen, so it'll take you directly to the actual meeting interactive questions as well. So I'll give everybody a couple minutes before we can move on to the next slide. So it's menti.com. The voting code is 10408085, or you can simply scan the image that you see there. Okay, let me give a couple more seconds here. And we'll go next. I think we're ready to move forward. We'll start with some MPO personal announcements. First, we want to give you a quick recap of the Safe Street Summit. This is our yearly summit that we host together with our partners at the Palm Beach and Miami-Dade. This past summit in February 17 and 18, it was very successful. We do this every year. The main conference day, we had 5 plenary sessions, 11 very exciting presenters, and 246 attendees. One of the things that we did this year, we capped the attendance. Typically, we get over 500 to 600 attendees, but because of what's going on, we wanted to be safe, so we capped the attendance to 250, so we had 246 attendees, so that was pretty successful. Part of our mobile workshops, we also had 4 mobile workshops throughout Miami that included walking and biking, and 64 people participated in those mobile workshops. Just some of the list of presenters that we have. Gabe Klein was our keynote speaker in the morning, and we had Corinna Ricks from FTA actually be our keynote speaker for the entire day. Also, we want to recognize some of some of the people or the agencies who really are helping us in creating safer streets here in Broward. I want to just mention Jeff Torkelson was awarded the Complete Streets Champion Award this year for his work that he's been working with us since actually the initial Safe Street Summit back in 2013. So he was awarded the Complete Streets Champion. And the City of Deerfield Beach was awarded the Complete Streets Agency Champion this year as well. You can see that Priscilla, who happens to be our CSEC member, accepting that award. She was also nominated for Complete Streets Champion, but maybe next year, Priscilla. So that was a very impressive.
Thank you.
Next year, no problem. But yeah, it was a great event. So hopefully we'll do something even at a par or better next year. Talking about next year will be a 10th year anniversary. for the Sage Street Summit. It was coming back to Broward. It's going back home to Broward. So definitely, save a date. Next February 2nd and 3rd, we're going to be at the Diplomat Hotel in the city of Hollywood. Again, we're planning something really special, being that it is our 10th year anniversary. Please, we'll send you constant reminders, but we're already starting the planning of that event now. So again, please, we'll keep that in mind. We really are doing something really special this year, or this next year. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie Garcia to give us an update on Cyclovia and tactical urbanism.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Stephanie Garcia, also with the Broward MPO, and I will talk a little bit about some of the efforts. So let's start with Cyclovia. We had the first planning committee meeting last week on March 8th with a really interesting group of people. We had some Florida Community Services. We had some interested sponsors for the Cyclovia. We also had Broward County attending the event, and we also have some cities that show interest on co-hosting a Cyclovia. And some of the things that we discussed was actually the route. So where exactly in Broward County, or where does Broward County has potential for an open streets event? This was actually, we spent a lot of time discussing some routes and opportunities, and there is more information. We will share with this slide the map to the routes that we have in mind, and as homework, we will work on a draft budget, because that was also something that we discussed, how exactly we are going to fund this initiative, and some of the role responsibilities, if you are a co-host or a partner for the Cyclovia event, and also some potential dates. So for the next meeting on April 5th, the idea is to discuss some routes, dates for 2023, and opportunities, to collaborate with the MPO and other potential partners. So if you are a city and you are interested in co-hosting a Cyclovia in 2023 or maybe in the future, let me know so we can include your route for discussion for the planning committee. And also, if you are a sponsor, if you are a transportation agency that see this as a potential to promote active transportation and healthy habits, again, this is a great opportunity for Broward County, and we are planning to host a Cyclovia, not just for a particular city, but for Broward County. So that's the main goal, celebrate Broward. And if we go to the next slide. Yes, so this month is Florida Bike Month. As you know, in Florida, we celebrate Bike Month in March. So we have some fun events happening this month. Of course, the Love to Florida ride. If you are not yet registered to this great opportunity, Love to Florida has partnered with different organizations in Florida, including the DOT, in order to host a big challenge. So they are challenging workplaces to log their miles and participate per category. So if you are a city, again, if you're a city or just representing the county or DOT or any other agency, and you want to participate in this challenge, riding and logging some miles, and of course promoting active transportation and commuting to work, why not? Please participate. Just put in your browser Love to Florida and you will find information right away. The Broward MPO is actually participating this year, and let me tell you that we are kicking. We are actually doing great. We are in the first place under our category, and we are in the top 6 of workplaces that are adding the most miles during this month. So join us. You will still have time. You have 2 weeks. So there is time to, switch from going to work driving, but biking. And also we had last Saturday on March 12th, an event in partnership with the city of Pembroke Pines. It was a wonderful event. We had more or less 40 participants, including, families with kids and we were distributing helmets. It was such a great event. We had, a really great time working with the city of Pembroke Pines and their police department. And if we go to the next slide. Let's talk about tactical urbanism. So what is going on? As you know, in December of 2021, we completed the project in the city of Deerfield Beach with the support, of course, of the city of Deerfield and Broward County and ARRP. Right now, we are collecting data. So we are in the phase of the project where we are evaluating and monitoring data. We are collecting bike and ped counts, speed, and also crashes with the support of Broward County and the city of Deerfield Beach. And by the end of June, we will have a report that will tell us, how we did and what is the, what is the data that we're gonna have, throughout this time. Just it's 6 months. We will be collecting data for 6 months, and the idea is to determine, what we are going to do next, and what is the city going to do next. If we are going to keep this project, and if we are going to make any adjustments, and look for a more permanent solution for this specific area in their neighborhood. So that's what is happening in the city of Deerfield Beach. Then if we go to the next slide. Now let's talk about our second pilot project, and this is in the city of Fort Lauderdale. We selected this project last year in December, and we kick off our activities in January. And actually, we have hosted the first public meeting in February 12th. And right now, we are working on the draft design. We are working with the city of Fort Lauderdale in order to finalize what exactly we are going to do in Northeast 15th Avenue. We have another opportunity for the public to submit their feedback in April 2nd. Actually, this will be an opportunity to vote for the art theme of the painting sessions. So if you are interested in participating, either as a resident of the area or because you are passionate about tactical urbanism, don't miss this opportunity. It's April 2nd at 10 a.m. at the Art Surf Gallery in the city of Fort Lauderdale. And if we go to the next slide, there are also other opportunities, not only providing feedback, but also volunteering. As we did in the city of Deerfield Beach, we have great volunteers from different organizations, including AARP, and we would like to extend the invitation to this opportunity again from the Tactical Urbanism Program, but in a different city this time, in the city of Fort Lauderdale, of course. And, it's an opportunity for you to participate in such a wonderful event. It's painting the streets. And also, we're going to provide social working hours if you're interested, or if you have, kids that would like to participate as well. This is a great opportunity to learn about what exactly engineers and urban planners do in the field. So yes, this is an invitation for everyone. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, if you guys want to go and paint, absolutely, it's a great opportunity. It's a great way to actually meet the people who we're doing this for, because they are there and they have a vested interest in making the streets better. But Bike Month here, we are really, ahead of over 1,000 points in our category, and very close to being the top. So definitely, you guys go out there and bike some more. And the last thing I wanted just to wrap our report, I wanted to just turn it to the group and see if they have anything going on for Bike Month. Any Bike Month activities that you would like to, that you guys, your community or your agency is putting together for this month. I know Larry, the FDOT is doing some things for Bike Month. So if you can share that with the rest of the CSAC, we appreciate that.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, Stephanie. The department is hosting a bicycle challenge. It's called Love to Ride. So we could share that information with you, Ricardo. Very similar to previous years, but a lot of great prizes. And if I heard great things about Broward MPO now having a challenge internally with work, bike to work challenge with your staff. So I eagerly advise you to enter into the challenge. And that's it for this month. In April, we are having our annual OMD Expo Office of Modal Development, abbreviates for OMD, that supports multimodal transportation, such as aviation, freight, seaport, bike ped, complete streets, freight logistics, so rail, transit. So it encompasses all of our multimodal modes. So that's going to be happening at our district office on April the 19th, I believe. Yes, April 19th. It is not open to the public for this year. So it'll be for internal FDOT and Broward MPO staff. But hopefully for future years, we will open up to the public. But for this year, it is remaining internal for now.
Perfect.
That's all the updates that I have. Thanks, Ricardo. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thank you. Anybody else from the CSAC that have some activities happening for Bike Month? I don't think we have any. So thank you all. We'll get right to our presentations now. Again, our first presentation is about the Pembroke Road multimodal improvements. Again, I'm super excited about this presentation. More importantly, how the FDOT design team has actually engaged the community and really listened to the local partners and how they want to see the road being designed. So with that, I'll turn it over to the design team. Mr. Alex, are you going to start or?
Yeah, Ricardo, I can just give a very brief background and I'll hand it over to Alex. So
Okay.
can you go to the next slide real quick? All right, so this is the Pembroke Road improvements capacity project that the MPO had identified in the 2040 MTP. The MPO and FDOT with the cities have been working, pretty closely together to make sure we, address the needs of all users. And then before we go into more detail, I'm going to hand it over to Alex Boyer, who's the FDOT, I guess, interim PM for this project. And go ahead, Alex.
All right. Thank you, Faisal. Thank you, Ricardo. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Boyer. I am the FDOT Project Manager Assistant for this project. Claudia Viniski Calvo is the FDOT Project Manager, and she is currently out of maternity leave, but she'll be back by the end of July, so I'll continue with the presentation. Project overview and location. Pembroke Road from west of Douglas Road to University Drive is a 4-lane divided roadway with a posted speed of 45 miles per hour. Pembroke Road runs east and west, providing access to I-95 to the east and an alternative route to I-75 to the west. It is located within the jurisdiction of 2 cities. From the existing median to the north belongs to the city of Pembroke Pines, and from the median south belongs to the city of Miramar. Both cities share maintenance of this road. Proposed improvements include widening Pembroke Road from 4 lanes to 6 lanes to increase vehicle capacity. This roadway widening will remove 2 existing merging conditions from 3 lanes to 2 lanes on both eastbound and westbound approaches. Installation of raised separated sidewalks and bicycle lanes. Also, we include installation of closed drainage system on both sides of the road, replacing the existing swales on the north side and curb inlets on the south. Replacement of existing span wire signals at Jody Lane is also included. They are going to be replaced with moss arms to accommodate the pavement widening. And finally, replacement of the existing corridor lighting along the westbound direction from east of Jody Lane to University Drive, also impacted by the roadway upgrades. These improvements will enhance safety and traffic operations for drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists. Next slide, please. Slide number 3. Let's get into the preferred typical section. This is alternative number 2. This typical section consists of a 22-foot wide median, 3 11-foot travel lanes with type F curb and gutter, 3-foot wide sided utility strip or furnishing zone, and a 5-foot raised separated bicycle lane with a 6-foot concrete sidewalk adjacent to it. And this is on both sides. This typical section will require an 18-foot wide right-of-way acquisition to the north along the westbound direction shown here on the left side. in order to meet the department's minimum design criteria. Next slide. Slide number 4. Two other typical sections were also considered during the roadway typical section evaluation. So let me show you the other two typical sections. The first of these two alternative typical sections, alternative number 1, consists of a 22-foot wide median, 3 11-foot travel lanes, and a 7-foot on-street buffered bike lanes, with 6-foot sidewalks on both sides. The right-of-way requirements for this alternative is 22-foot wide from the north side of the road. The major difference between this alternative and the preferred alternative is that the bike lanes are next to the travel lanes, and 2 more feet of extra right-of-way will be required. Next slide. Thank you. The second of these two alternative typical sections, alternative number 3, consists of a reduced 15.5-foot wide median. Travel lanes remain as 11-foot wide. Pedestrians and bicyclists will share a 12-foot shared use path on the north and an 8-foot wide on the south. Compared to the preferred typical, this alternative does not require any right-of-way acquisition, but it requires 2 design variations for median width and shared use path separation from the roadway. Next slide, please. Slide number 6. This slide shows the preferred typical section as shown in the roadway plans. The existing eastbound travel lanes will be milled, resurfaced, and widened. The westbound lanes will be fully reconstructed, resulting on a typical section of a 6-lane divided urban roadway. The facility is designed for 45 miles per hour, and we will maintain the current posted speed limit of 45 miles per hour. We have an annual average daily traffic of 41,500 vehicles, with a projected daily traffic of 56,000 vehicles for the design year. As we can see, we are widening the road to the north, maintaining as much existing pavement as possible along the eastbound direction to reduce costs and impacts to the existing conditions. Next slide, please. The slides number 7 and 8 will show the project in plan view. The overall project length is about a mile long. North is up, and the road runs east-west. The first segment of the project runs from Douglas Road to Jody Lane. The milling and resurfacing, the area in green color, starts west of Douglas Road, where existing bike lanes and sidewalks are present on both sides of the road, and they will be connecting to the proposed improvements. The pavement reconstruction, the area in black color, starts east of Douglas Road. The existing sidewalk runs throughout the project on both sides of Pembroke Road, but there is no existing bike lane in the westbound direction within this segment. And the existing bike lane beyond Douglas Road going in the eastbound direction ends just east of Southwest 87th Way. Another improvement in this area is related to the access management. The area shown in green color represents the proposed median. The existing full median opening at Southwest 87th Way will be changed to an eastbound directional median opening to increase traffic safety. At Jody Lane intersection, as previously noted, the existing span wire signal will be replaced with mass arms. Lastly, the line work in green is the existing right-of-way, and the line work in red is the proposed right-of-way to be acquired. Next slide, please. Slide number 8. The second segment of the project runs from Jody Lane to University Drive. To remind you, the area in black color is the pavement reconstruction, gray is the milling resurfacing, and green is the proposed median. The existing sidewalk runs on both sides and throughout the project as in the previous segment. But the existing bike lane along the westbound direction ends just west of Poinciana Drive. The existing bike lane that ended just east of Southwest 87 Way along the eastbound direction, as shown in the previous segment, reappears just west of Poinciana Drive. Existing sidewalks and bike lanes are present east of the University Drive intersection, which is the end project, providing connectivity to the Pembroke Road upgrades. access management improvements along this segment of Pembroke Road include modifications from full median openings to eastbound directional median openings at Poinciana Drive and at the abandoned parking lot where a future development will be constructed, as shown with the letters A and B on this slide. The existing full median opening serving Walmart will also be improved by providing a longer westbound queue and by adjusting the median noses for a safer in and out vehicle access. Again, all proposed right-of-way will be to the north, as shown by the red line work. Other improvements such as relocating the existing median landscape and replacing the existing corridor lighting on the north side is still being coordinated with the local agencies. Lastly, a noise wall study along the north side of Pembroke Road will be performed by the FDOT to consider the installation of a noise wall, which I will describe in the next slide. Next slide, please. Slide number 9, noise wall. No PNE study was conducted for this project, so the FDOT will soon be conducting a noise wall study to evaluate cost, feasibility, and overall public benefit to construct a noise wall along the Honey Woods residential development between Southwest 47th Way and Jody Lane to reduce the traffic noise that will be generated by the roadway widening and the future traffic volumes. The study will calculate future noise levels and compare it with existing noise levels to predict noise impacts. The goal is to achieve a noise reduction benefit of 5 decibels for 2 impacted receptors and 7 decibels for 1 impacted receptor. And to be clear, a receptor is a residential unit, and a decibel is a unit to measure sound levels. Urban noise walls heights range from 8 feet to 14 feet. And depending how close these walls are located from the roadway or near the affected properties, it can effectively reduce noise levels. An alternative location for the noise wall will be where the existing residential perimeter wall is, as shown by the blue line. And the preferred wall location will be closer to the road, as shown by the orange line. Either wall location will affect the existing landscape that will need to be coordinated with the local agencies for relocation. Impacted residents must be in favor of installing the noise wall. Otherwise, it will not be installed. Next slide, please. Slide number 10, potential landscape impacts. This slide is just a visual representation of the existing trees that will remain adjacent to the pedestrian and bicycle facilities along the north side. That being the case, not all existing trees will require relocation. There are many mature trees around this area that cannot be fully quantified until the design is further along and if the noise wall gets installed. Next slide, please. Thank you. Slide number 11, traffic analysis. Through our initial public outreach, there is a concern that vehicles traveling westbound along Pembroke Road will be backing up traffic in advance of the intersection at Douglas Road, since the project improvements will cause a merging condition just west of the intersection from 3 lanes back to 2 lanes, creating a so-called cut-through traffic situation through this residential neighborhood for vehicles that they are trying to make it to Douglas Road and go north, as shown in this slide by the red dashed lines. In order to address this concern, the FDOT conducted a traffic analysis to evaluate congestion patterns and queue demands for the proposed intersection geometry. This analysis, along with the proposed improvements to the existing intersection signal timings, found that during the peak hours of operation, the queue in the through lanes will not block the right turn traffic from westbound Pembroke Road to northbound Douglas Road. Thus, based on this evaluation, the cut-through traffic concern is not anticipated to develop. This topic will be presented and discussed in more detail with residents during our next public workshop. Next slide, please. We're on slide number 12, evaluation matrix. This matrix was used to evaluate each typical section considered for this project, based on specific criteria, such as roadway impacts, environmental and community impacts, landscape impacts, utility impacts, access management changes, public safety, and construction costs. The preferred typical section, alternative number 2, which is highlighted in yellow here, though it requires right-of-way acquisition, in the long run, it provides a more beneficial design for the project needs. Let me restate that these alternatives have been coordinated with both City of Miramar and City of Pembroke Pines. Public workshops have taken place to present this alternative to the local residents, more specifically to the Honey Woods and Honey Place homeowners associations. And this was back in October 2021, and to the general public back in December 2021. Another public workshop is to be scheduled to obtain final public support of the selected alternative in the near future. Next slide, please. Thank you. Slide number 13, right-of-way impacts. The next 4 slides will go quickly, and I'll show the expected right-of-way impacts for the project. We have identified at least 13 parcels that will require right-of-way acquisition based on the preferred typical section. The impacted areas are shown in the pink shapes with yellow line work, representing the new right-of-way limits. These impacted properties range from existing businesses like the Citgo gas station. Next slide, please. Like these private properties owned by the Honey Woods Homeowners Association. And let me clarify that no residential property will be affected by the proposed right-of-way limits. Next slide, please. Like public areas, like the Cinnamon Place Park owned by the City of Pembroke Pines. And let me say, no existing park activity will be impacted by the right-of-way acquisition. Next slide, please. Or like this little area owned by the Florida DMV. As of today, the design is 30% complete, and once the proposed plans reach approximately 60% completion, the right-of-way phase will kick in, including title searches, appraisals, acquisitions, etc., until we obtain final certification and the project is clear for construction. Next slide, please. Current project schedule and stakeholders. Our next public meeting is still to be determined. We have a production date for June 2025. There is no letting date since the construction is unfunded. The right-of-way is funded for the fiscal year 2025, and the stakeholders are the City of Miramar, City of Pembroke Pines, Broward County, Broward MPO, and the Honey Woods Homeowners Association. Next slide. It's our last slide. We reached the end of the presentation. Here we have the Fgt Contacts, Claudia Biniski Calvo, Fgt PM, and myself, Alex Boyer, and the Fgt PM assistant. So please feel free to call us or email us at any time. Finally, I want to thank you for this opportunity to present to you the Pembroke Road project.
Alex, thank you so much for your presentation. I just turned over to the CSAC members if they have any questions for Alex regarding anything that he presented today. Alex, I don't think we have any questions. So
Ricardo, can I ask a question? Sorry.
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
Hey, this is Christine Banshee. Good to see you. And Alex, thanks for this project. Obviously, I'm not a CSAC member, but just had a question looking at alternative 2 versus 3.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like 3 was half the cost and it saved all the trees. So I guess I wanted to understand how 2 was weighted over 3. Like, how did the state decide between 2 and 3?
That's because the median width for alternative 3 is much narrower, and that will create a safety issue for turning movements. So vehicles coming from the side streets and even for driveways will have such a narrow area to make the turns. So it make it a little bit unsafe. So the department, in coordination with our local agencies, we decided that for the best benefit of the public, it is to have a little bit of a wider, which is the standard 22-foot median, so it doesn't create a safety issue in the future.
Okay.
Also for difference between alternative 3 and alternative 2 was alternative 3 was more or less just a wide sidewalk. Alternative 3 was supposed to serve as a design that would just fit within the existing right of way. So when we looked at alternative 2, we that the alternative was given so we could have a separated bicycle and pedestrian facility from the road. Also, as far as this project, we do have some funds that are allocated for landscaping. So there will be some landscaping that will be installed with this project once it goes into construction.
It looked like the space between the curb and the trail was pretty limited in the graphic. Is it going to be able to host any trees in that area?
I think right now, I mean, Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's like 4 or 5 feet we have in between the shared use path and the back of the curb.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it's just 5. Yes.
Yeah. So we should be able to provide some shade trees, I would assume. I mean, I'm also not a landscape architect, so I cannot validate that statement, but the hope is to try to provide some shade trees for those users.
Okay, I know the state has a requirement for the offset, so it just looks like 2 versus 3. You're taking out all the trees to put the trail further back on 2, which is fine if you're going to plant the trees on the other side of the trail. So just hoping that offset is worth it, I guess.
And Christine, I just think great question as always. I just want to be clear that this is not the state's decision. This is a typical was agreed upon by all the local governments and the community as well. So it wasn't just the state coming in and saying this is what we're going to do. They've been working very closely with us, with MPO and both cities, the city of Miramar and city of Pembroke Pines, and the community to make sure that we have a typical section that everybody is supportive of.
Excellent.
And this was a typical section that the folks who attended the alternative public workshop also supported as well. So hopefully we can work through some of these other, such as some of these other obstacles, such as the landscaping and whatnot. Once the department decides to 100% move forward with it, I think there's still some analysis that's being done on the department's part. But the hope is that we're going to continue with alternative 2, and then we'll work out some of those other things with the city of Miramar and city of Pembroke Pines.
Excellent, great project. Thank you.
Awesome, yeah, definitely. And at the MPO we love trees. We're tree huggers, so definitely we want to get rid of some trees. So anything that we can do to save them, we will. All right, I'm gonna go turn it over to Stephanie to go over the Mentimeter question, unless there's any more questions from the CSEC members. I don't think we have any more questions, Stephanie. I'll stop sharing my screen so you can go ahead and share the Mentimeter.
Yes, thank you so much, Ricardo. I have the Mentimeter on. Can you see my screen? Perfect. So the first question that we have is, who maintains Pembroke Road between Douglas Road and University Drive? And I think, Alex, you mentioned this in the beginning of the presentation. So it seems most of the people think that it is between the city of Miramar and Pembroke Pines. We have 12 people saying that that's the correct answer. Can you tell us?
Yeah, they are correct. They are maintained by both local agencies, Miramar and Pembroke Pines.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Okay, then we have the next question, and hopefully, everyone was paying attention. What is a typical noise wall height range? I remember this answer, but I want to know. I took note of the answer, so let's see if what everyone else think. Okay. So we have 12 responses, and everyone is saying from 8 to 16. What do you think, Alex? What was the right answer?
Oh, that's very disappointing. It is A. It is from 8 to 14 feet.
Oh,
So brownie points to those three people that guessed it correctly.
so close, I was by 2 feet off.
Thank you so much. I will stop sharing my screen, and then we will have some more questions for the other presentation, so pay attention.
Thank you. Let me see if I can go ahead and screen 2. Okay, can you guys see my screen now? Oh. I always have difficult time doing this. Can you guys see my screen?
Now
Yes.
we can.
Perfect, thank you. Our next presentation is for my construction folks at FDOT to talk about some of the multimodal improvements along Lands Road. This is one of our initial mobility projects that we're working from, since the beginning when we started this program. So I'll turn it over to our construction folks at FDOT to give us a presentation.
Hi, Ricardo. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us.
Hi, Rebecca.
Hi. Can you move on to the next slide, please?
Absolutely.
All right. So for those who don't know me, my name is Rebecca Guerrero, and I am the Community Outreach Specialist for the project, and I'm out of District 4 Broward Operations. So I'm usually the go-to for all the mobility jobs. So thank you for having us come today to talk about the Lions Road Mobility Project that's taking place in the city of Coconut Creek. Next slide, please. So the project team with me today is Heidi Cuevas. She's the construction project manager with FDOT District 4 Broward Operations. We also have Jonathan Guzman, who is the construction project administrator with Metric Engineering. And we also have Felipe Gonzalez. He's the senior project engineer who's actually on the line today. Next slide. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Heidi.
Good afternoon. I will be presenting our project overview. The purpose of this project is basically to accommodate bicycle lanes in each direction of the roadway from Atlantic Boulevard to Sawgrass Expressway. The project length is approximately of 4.9 miles. Our contractor is Weekly Asphalt Paving, and our construction started on January 6, 2020. We have a project cost of approximately $11 million. With some of these funds were contributed by the city of Coconut Creek in this project specifically. Our current contract time is of 837 calendar days. This time includes weather days that were grounded and holidays. And we have an estimated completion of May of 2022. Next slide, please. I'll be talking about some of our project improvements that include milling, resurfacing, and replacing pavement markings from south of Atlantic Boulevard to Sawgrass Expressway, widening the roadway to accommodate bicycle lanes in each direction from Atlantic Boulevard to the Sawgrass Expressway, installation of drainage structures on the east side of the road and the west side of Lyons Road, various locations. We had from Coconut Creek Parkway to Sample Road and from Winston Park Boulevard to the Sawgrass Expressway. Upgrading pedestrian signalization was part of the project scope. We did some ped improvements from Atlantic Boulevard and Sawgrass Expressway and roadway lighting between Atlantic Boulevard and Sample Road. Also, a part of our project scope included sidewalk improvements throughout the corridor. Next slide, please. Now, Jonathan Guzman will be talking about our project coordination efforts.
Thank you, Heidi. During Lions Road project, there were a few tasks that required extra coordination effort. One of these tasks was a 24-inch force main that City of Coconut Creek was scheduled and was going to install via directional bore within the corridor. Coconut Creek's force main project could have possibly extended the contract time, and additionally, it could have potentially affected the proposed FDOT project improvements. Next slide. The team overcame these possible conflicts by coordinating with the city of Coconut Creek where the force main was going to be installed, and then making necessary adjustments to avoid any conflicts with the FDOT proposed plans. Additionally, coordination was required with FDOT contractor to identify other locations where work could be performed without causing any impact to their original schedule. Lastly, coordination between FDOT, City of Coconut Creek, FDOT contractor was crucial in ensuring that all FDOT proposed work and City of Coconut Creek installed force main would not conflict with each other. Thanks to the open and great communication between all parties, we were able to work together and cause no delays to neither the city nor FDOT contractors. Next slide. Another task that required additional coordination effort was the drainage repair project from Broward County that would occupy about 2,000 linear feet section of Lyons Road corridor. This repair would not allow the FDOT contractor to perform proposed work in this area and could have possibly affected the construction schedule. Next slide. The team overcame these possible conflicts by coordinating with Broward County the area in which they would occupy to perform this repair work. And additionally, we coordinated with FDOT contractor and identified areas we could avoid impacts to construction schedule by them mitigating the work in those locations. Thanks to the great communication between FDOT contractor, FDOT, Broward County, we were able once again to work together and avoid any impacts to neither drainage repair project or FDOT proposed work. Next slide. One final task we want to highlight was the asphalt harmonization at Tamron Village. The entrance to this subdivision was identified as having ponding issues which were extending to the sidewalk and crosswalk. This area appeared to be worsening during construction. Also, the extent of ponding was becoming an issue to pedestrian public. Next slide. The team overcame this by surveying the area and with the help of the FDOT engineer of record, coming up with an asphalt harmonization plan to aid the ponding issue. Special attention was being paid to the pedestrian access in the area. After paving the entrance, a large improvement was noticed regarding the ponding issues. Thanks to the coordination between Tamron Village, FDOT contractors, FDOT engineer of record, we were able to come up with a plan and execute it, benefiting the community that was in stake. Next slide. Next, we have Felipe Gonzalez serving as a senior project engineer to further speak on Lyons Road final conditions and improvements.
Thank you, Jonathan. After extensive coordination for 2 years with local stakeholders, municipalities, the contractor and FDOT, our project is coming closer to completion. And this picture shows some of the completed items as part of the original scope. In the picture on the left, you can see the asphalt pavement layer for the northbound lanes, including the new bike lane as part of the scope of the project, with bicycle marking and green bike lane markings at conflict points. Also, you can see new curb and gutter, new sidewalk, and new signage. The picture on the right shows an area where we install gravity wall as part of the scope of the project, and also includes new sidewalk, new curb and gutter. Again, new green bike lane markings and turning lanes pavement markings. Next slide, please. The City of Coconut Creek and FDOT entered into a joint participation agreement for the installation of a decorative pattern pavement at multiple intersections throughout the corridor. The funding was provided by the City of Coconut Creek. These two pictures show the new installed pattern pavement at the intersection of 1500 Block and Lyons Road, and also the project contractor installed pattern pavement at additional 7 intersections throughout the corridor at Winston Park Boulevard, Wells Road, Northwest 34th Street, Hammock Boulevard, Lyons Plaza, Coconut Creek Parkway, and Northwest 6 Manor intersections. Next slide, please. Additional scope of work for the project also included harmonization, And you can see this in these two pictures with new sod between the new bike lanes and the sidewalk, and also in the location between the existing sidewalk, between the new sidewalk and the existing right of way. Also, a scope of the project included repairs for the existing irrigation and installation of some irrigation components within the project limits. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to turn it over back to Becky.
Thank you, Felipe. So for more information on the project, we do have a project-specific website. It's located at www.d4fdot.com. We also have a weekly lane closure press release. We show that every Friday, and that includes lane closures on all of our construction projects and all lane closures in Broward County on state roads. If you want to be added to that list, if you're not already, please contact me at 954-940-7605 or via email at rguerrero@cordino.com. Next slide. All right, so throughout construction, please feel free to submit your questions or concerns to the project team. We also have a fun little safety message for FDOT about bicyclist and pedestrian safety. And we'll open up the floor to anybody who has questions.
Excellent, presentation, guys. Really appreciate it. By the way, when this is completed, even though it's 4.5 miles, we're gonna have a continuous bike lane of a bicycle facility from Sawgrass all the way to Riverland. So that's about a 12-mile connection. So that's excellent. So thank you for doing that. Questions from the members for the team? I do have a question for you guys. The sidewalk. What is the width of the sidewalk?
The width of the sidewalk. Jonathan, you think you could take that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have variable widths throughout the whole corridor. It depends on what locations it is. In some locations we have 6 to 7 feet. Some locations is 5 feet. But I think that the average throughout the corridor is 6 feet.
6 feet. So
Yeah.
I remember when we working closely with the city initially, there was this goes through their downtown area, and I think they were asking for a little wider sidewalk in that area. I'm not sure if we were able to accommodate that.
I'm not quite sure what area you're referring to, but I do know that we have some areas that have very, very wide sidewalks. So I would say that, yeah, we were able to accommodate some sort of extra wide sidewalks.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. And also, the coordination that you guys did with multiple partners, I think kudos to you guys, because that the construction schedules are very fluid. Anything can happen. Stay on the schedule and budget, and amazing. So kudos to you, to the entire team. With that, I don't think we have any more questions. So I will turn it over to Stephanie to ask the 2 Mentimeter questions. So I'll stop sharing my screen.
So just something else that I want to also add to this, Ricardo, is that Lyons Road, once it's completed, is going to be connecting to many of our future mobility projects. There's Copens Road, and there's going to be a plethora of projects that will be connecting to this facility in the future.
Hi, sorry, this is Natalie Rodriguez. I have a quick question, and it's just more curiosity than anything else. So this project is literally down the street from my house, and I happen to ride it like very frequently. And I was just curious, there are multiple areas for the bike path, especially going southbound, where the buffer is very wide, which is why I assumed it was Chevron. Why wasn't it considered to have some sort of like actual physical separation, like planters or something like that would give more safety to the cyclists? Because I still think people are hesitant riding the bikes, even though we want them to keep using the bikes more. But was that considered, having actual physical separation in those areas?
That would actually have to be a question for design. I can follow up if you want, Natalie, on that for you.
But I'll have something, I completely agree. We need to have the separations, not necessarily because of safety, but because of encouragement. We want people to feel safe, or, be used to, because I think when they have that buffer, the separation, especially physical barrier, I think people will more likely to use facilities. When we first actually, this project has been on the books since 2013. So, the wheels of government at MPO move very slowly. At that time, it was, we work with our local partners. I mean, the MPO does not own facilities. So at that time, the only thing that we can get approved from, especially this is a county facility, it was what we have today. Absolutely, we agree. I think there's maybe something that we can look at in the future. By the way, all the projects that we're working on now, we're definitely adamant about those separations, because I think it's very important to get people out there and start, biking more. A good point. I mean, I wish at the time we would have looked at other options. Oh, in some cases we just couldn't do it. I think there were just some limitations with the right of way, but
Yeah, and some
Really agree.
places, like I know because of bus stops and stuff like that, you can't really like put any physical stuff in there. But
Yeah.
I did notice in many portions of different segments where the separation is very wide. So it's like, oh, it'd be great if there were like some planters or something here to just separate them. But yeah, Rebecca, if you hear anything, I could send you an email. Just curious on what was the reasoning behind back then. But yeah, if it's been around since 2013, I think this new separation has been a most recent thing. But thank you.
Yeah.
I think it's a great project. I see it every day. So good
Yeah,
job.
send me that email, Natalie, and I'll get with design and see if I can get some more information for you.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. So now let's continue with the Mentimeter questions. The first question that we have, and this is related to community outreach, how the team can provide a better platform for everyone to be informed. So the first question is, how do you prefer to receive construction updates? And we have two options. First one is via mass email blasts. And the second option is posted on the project website. So in my preference, I would prefer both, of course. Whenever I want to find information, it would be great to find it in the website. But at the same time, I would like to receive information about what is happening if I live in the area via email, so I can reach out at any time. So I think and I think DOT also does do this. They do have both platforms. So I receive Rebecca's email every time, so I'm glad
All
about
my emails.
Yeah, so I think they're really good at it. Yeah, but it seems most of the people prefer emails, direct emails.
Wow, I'm surprised. Okay.
Larry, do you have a question?
I do. Also, I think Public Information Office, FTC Public Information Office, also posts it on our social media platform for construction updates, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So look out for those as well. And then I heard there's also additional platforms you can be able to text it to your cell phone. So that's coming as well. So stay tuned for further information. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you for the update. Karen, you have also a question, comment?
I have a comment, a little asterisk to the email blasts, project-specific email blasts. I know that those Friday construction 45-page updates are a little difficult to get through, but the project-specific ones are awesome.
Yeah, the traffic report is a large document. But yeah, that's the via email blast is pretty much been the standard so far here in construction out of Broward operations, like project specific ones. It just so happens that Stephanie, Ricardo, pretty much everybody in the MPO is just on my standard Broward County list. So that's why they probably receive all my emails.
It's been great with like the big projects we have going on in Fort Lauderdale with the tunnel, State Road 84 and 95 being closed, and all the neighborhoods get the blast too. So it helps us as city employees to not have to field every single question because they get it right from you, which is awesome.
Absolutely.
Oh, thank you so much, Karen,
for the feedback, Karen. Yes, I'm managing that project as well. We do have a specific a project updates for that one that we do. And, and they have been working great. So that's something that we'll look forward to see if we can implement them in other projects too.
Yeah, it's been awesome. For such an impactful project of the tunnel that we really don't have people calling us and wondering what's going on and complaining because everybody's gotten on that list. And the regular meetings that you have too for big projects to let everybody know what the updates are firsthand. I think that's really been a model of how to do public outreach on projects.
Thank you, Karen.
Nice. So then we have another question. This is in regards to audit meetings. Do you prefer virtual meetings or in-person construction open houses? Yeah, well, we started with the virtual meetings, because of COVID, but it seems, it's been a great tool for everyone because not everyone can attend a meeting at 5 or 6 p.m. So let's see. Yeah, in-person meetings are not that popular. Well, no, are popular because we have both options, with a great number of people supporting. So I guess the response is, both meetings, both versions.
Wow.
Yeah, virtual and in person. So at what time do you usually host a virtual meeting, Rebecca and Heidi?
So I can take that question. It also based project specific. And so availability on the calendars, between the commission meetings, city meetings, MPO meetings, schools, any religious holidays. So it also boils down to availability. Ideally, we like to host the meetings separated, like one day virtual, one day the in-person. But if we're tight on a schedule with the days, especially when we find out, a project starting in 4 weeks, we kind of have to just go and plan everything. For the most part, we'll host it between 5 to 6, the virtual session, and then 6 to 7, the in-person. And we've had a good turnout for that. We've been having a great turnout, honestly, for the virtual meetings as well. So that's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like the idea of both. Like one of the things that's happening, especially in the Western area, Western Broward, where we don't typically get more than 1 people attend the meeting, 1 or 2 perhaps. The last few that we've had, we get like 15 to 20 people, which, out west, west of 75 is, it's wonderful. You get 15 people to actually come in. So I think that option of both, I think it's excellent. So hopefully that becomes the norm from now on. Because it is something.
The last meeting that we hosted in construction was the Miramar Parkway improvements project. Ben was a part of that. We had a great turnout for the virtual session, and then we had a great turnout for the in-person as well. We had about 12 people come in person, which was great. So I'm a big fan of the both.
Yeah. I'm glad. Pembroke Road is same. I think we have more people attend the Pembroke Pines design meeting virtual than in person. But okay, good, excellent.
Well, thank you everyone for participating in the Mentimeter.
Okay, let me. All right, are you guys able to see my screen now? Yes, I'm hearing some head nods, so I think that's a yes. All right, in the last and not least presentation is by our real Mark Brown from MPO staff. Was talk about this brand new program that we established at the Broward MPO, the RSA. So Brown, Mark, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Ricardo. I'm Mark Brown with the Broward MPO. And over the past year, we've developed a process within the MPO to fund, plan, design, and implement safety projects on off-system roadways. So primarily that would be local and county roadways. So next slide. And keep going. All right, I'd like to begin with talking about the problem we're trying to solve. Nationwide fatalities, roadway fatalities have gone up about 18% between the beginning of 2020 and 2021. Pedestrian and bike fatalities continue to go up nationwide. And looking more locally, here's the 3-county, 3 MPO region in Southeast Florida. We have Broward MPO, Miami-Dade TPO area, and the Palm Beach TPA area, looking at roadway fatalities going up nearly every year from 2013. And I know I don't have 2020 or 2021 on the graph, but I did look at that data, and fatalities have gone up again. Within the Broward MPO region, I believe they're at about 250 fatalities for the year 2021. This is a problem, and this is why we're here today. And this is why we put the program together that we're going to talk about. Next slide. So our goal with the process was to create an innovative and equitable off-system roadway safety process where the MPO would be the point of contact and the facilitator between local municipalities and FDOT, and really helping municipalities plan, program, and implement safety projects on local and county roadways. The other goal we had is to get more safety projects into the tip. We not only want to plan them, but we want to get them built and on the ground, preferably as quickly as possible. And our other goal with the project, safety is a priority in our MTP. Safety has become a priority with FHWA. FDOT, they have their HSP plan, and I know they're making safety a priority as well. We wanted to coordinate and really get in line with all of these efforts and build off of what we did with the MTP and support Federal Highway and FDOT in implementing safety projects throughout the Broward MPO region. Next slide. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with the term roadway safety audit, but in case some of you are not, basically a technical term for a very simple thing: identifying safety problems on a roadway with an interdisciplinary team, often involving municipalities, FDOT, county, MPO, putting everybody together, going out into the field, looking at data, identifying safety problems, and coming up with countermeasures to help mitigate and solve those safety problems on our roadways. Next slide. I'm going to give you a brief overview on what we did with our MTP and MMPL and how we kind of began this process with the MTP and MMPL. Next slide. So a couple of years ago, we identified funding for off-system roadways. We identified about $230,000 per year for RSAs on off-system roadways. And we also identified about $3.5 million per year to help build safety projects throughout Broward County. And you can click on through here. And this is state funding, primarily using the 10% other roadway funding coming from state funding sources. And you can click ahead. And we include this program as part of our multimodal priority list, which I'll talk about here. Continue. And this is the way we're going to implement our new safety process. I think many of you are familiar with the MMPL already. It's the way we annually identify projects for funding. And before they go into the MMPL, we want to make sure that the projects are program ready and that we know what we're going to build before the projects are entered in the MMPL. We want to make sure the projects have a defined, detailed scope of work, an accurate cost estimate, and we want proof of community engagement and political support. So this is the primary way we'll be delivering safety projects here. And as many of you know, FDOT, they already have their own RSA process for state roadways. And what we did with the MPO, we kind of modeled our process on what FDOT is already doing for theirs, as a way to identify and mitigate safety problems at Broward MPO. And you could continue. All right, I'll give you an overview of the framework we put together over the past year. Next slide. So again, our goal here was to create an innovative, equitable process whereby we're helping municipalities create planning documents that could help mitigate safety problems on their roadways. We know not every municipality may have the staff or capabilities to do a RSA or to maybe deliver a project. They may not have the funding available. They may not have staff available. So in this regard, we're helping lift the burden and helping municipalities do a lot of that work within the MPO. And again, we want to complement what FDOT is already doing on state roadways and kind of adapting their RSA process for local roadways. Next slide. So we had TY Lin and VHB help develop our process throughout 2021. We have a final RSA document with a final process. And we have that document available if anyone would like it. I can email it to you. We also developed a pilot roadway safety audit for Royal Palm Boulevard between University Boulevard and Riverside Drive. And right now we're continuing to hold meetings with Coral Springs, Broward County, and FDOT, talking about how we're going to implement the recommendations that came out of the Royal Palm Boulevard roadway safety audit. Next slide. All right, probably the most important slide of the PowerPoint. This is kind of an overview of the process we put together. I'm going to go through it block by block in a minute, but to give you a broad overview, looking at the left-hand column in the pre-work column, as part of our 2045 MTP, we looked at, I don't know, maybe hundreds of high crash locations throughout Broward County. And we came up with a severity factor index, kind of weighting them and ranking them, looking for the most problematic crash areas within the county. So with our process, we're going to be looking at the work we did with the MTP and kind of whittling down the high crash locations with a team involving Broward County and FDOT and the MPO, looking at feasible high crash locations that we think would be appropriate to move on through a roadway safety audit. So after we select probably 2 locations per year, then we go on to the green middle column, where we perform a roadway safety audit, again, identifying problems on the roadway and coming up with countermeasures and concepts. And then from there, we have the third light blue column, where we come up with projects that could move on into our MMPL, be prioritized within the MPO, move on to programming, and ultimately project delivery. And I'll take you through this in more detail. Go ahead. All right, so when we look at the MTP at all of our high crash locations, we have a lot and we can't really do RSAs for all of them. So we had to prioritize. So we look at a couple of criteria to help prioritize them. We want to make sure the locations are the federal aid network, that they've been reviewed by FDOT and the county to make sure they're viable. We want to make sure that we don't have any overlapping projects, things that have already been built. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. If a municipality had already put a safety countermeasure out on the ground, maybe a year or two ago. So we kind of prioritize and whittle down the high crash locations and come up with a couple of viable high crash locations. Next slide. And again, we do this with a intergovernmental review panel, again, consisting of the county, FDOT, and a couple of other people in the room. And again, we're reviewing the high crash locations that come from the MTP and coming up with one or two priorities from that. Next slide. All right, from there, the middle green column, we put together a team of stakeholders to put together the roadway safety audit. The MPO and our consultant leads the process with help from the stakeholder team. And if you're familiar with a roadway safety audit process, we basically follow that model. Next slide. So it begins with collecting a lot of data, a lot of crash data, looking at trends, looking at problematic areas within that high crash area. And then going out into the field, doing a walkthrough, taking notes, and really looking at on the ground conditions and looking at potential problems that we could mitigate with safety countermeasures. Next slide. Now, when we come up with countermeasures, we begin with low-cost, quick turnaround projects, things that we could do relatively quickly, like high visibility crosswalks, leading pedestrian intervals, putting a backing plate on a signal head. That could be relatively cheap, but very effective. And then from there, we go to more complex, higher cost countermeasures, like, maybe we think a roundabout would be appropriate. That could be kind of a mid to long term countermeasure, things that we can recommend in the long term. Next slide. And we do a bit of economic analysis as well. We look at benefit cost ratio. We want to make sure the benefits of what we're proposing outweigh the cost. We look at net present value. We look at the future financial benefits of the countermeasure and whether they would be worthwhile given the current year cost of the project. Next slide. And then we prepare concept plans that come out of the RSA. We make sure they meet FDOT lab standards. We look at FDOT pay items as well to make sure we're kind of coordinating with FDOT on how they come up with cost estimates. We come up with a draft RSA document, and that goes out to Broward County, FDOT, and the municipality. They have the ability to comment on the document before we finalize it. And then we look at feasibility issues. We may have a problem with utilities, with a right-of-way impact, things we may need to look at more closely. So we kind of note and detail those items in the document, saying, hey, we may have a right-of-way impact. Here we may need to look at that in more detail later on through the development process. Next slide. And then we come to our prioritization phase, where the MPO prioritizes projects with help from the Intergovernmental Review Panel. Again, going back to the MMPL, we want to make sure that any project we recommend meets MMPL programming criteria, that it has a positive benefit cost ratio, that the project is worthwhile from a financial perspective as well. Next slide. And then we go on to implementation. Depending on what type of roadway we're doing the project on, implementation may come from FDOT. If we have an intersecting state roadway, FDOT may want to take on the project. If a municipality is part of the MPO MTech department, it may be implemented through the MPO, through MTech, or it may be implemented through a municipal lab agreement. And again, agency coordination is very important through every step of the process. We'll be coordinating with the county and FDOT going on through implementation. And again, all of the stakeholders will be involved from beginning to end. Next slide. And here's a quick chart, a timeline we put together. We're planning on developing 2 RSAs per year, beginning in February, where we identify 2 candidate projects from the MTP, and then we develop the RSA coming from April all the way to about October, November. And then we work on our program readiness and then programming the projects into the MMPL at the beginning of the year. Next slide. So where do we go from here? We're currently developing a multi-year project development timeline. We're not only we're developing RSAs, but we'll be doing project development, conceptual development, project delivery. So that could be a 4 to 5 year process. We're working on that. And we're working with the county, with FDOT and Coral Springs on helping implement the recommendations that came out of our pilot RSA for Royal Palm Boulevard. And we're also looking at high priority locations for 2 more roadway safety audits for the 2022 cycle coming up. Next slide. And I hope I didn't bore you. It was a lot of information, but thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, feel free.
Mark, thank you. That was a great presentation. You did not bore us. I think that was good, very fitting. I think people, especially our group, will understand, how it's important to understand how we come up with projects, and this is a new project, a new program recently established, so it gives us an idea how, our planning works. So, any questions for Mark?
I have a quick question. This is Christine again.
Christine, go ahead.
Hey, Mark, thanks for doing this. Obviously, Vision Zero is really close to my heart personally, but it seems like speed is the major reason for danger, whether it's for vehicle drivers or pedestrians or bicyclists. How is speed part of the evaluation, and how are we working towards getting a target speed? How does a target speed get identified?
Good question. We identify those problems on a case-by-case basis. Say, when we're doing a roadway safety audit for a particular corridor, and we collect data, or we go out into the field and find that speed is a very big problem on that particular corridor, we could recommend traffic calming there, maybe a road diet, lane diet, depending on the type of roadway, traffic calming, speed table, what have you. So yeah, that would be more of a project by project recommendation, but that's something we definitely take into account.
Is there a process through your program to determine that target speed, I guess? I mean, obviously the design is after, but during the road assessment, is there some process where they say, okay, it's posted 45 now, crashes are happening, it's dangerous. How do we decide whether it's 35, 30,
That could definitely be part of a roadway safety audit. depending on the project and location, we may go out and collect speed data and find that the roadway would be more appropriate for 35 mile per hour rather than 40, or maybe 40 rather than 45. That's something we definitely take into account. But again, that's very project by project, depending on the type of roadway we're looking at.
Hey Mark, it's Peter. Peter Gies from the Broward MPO. Christine, also one thing to keep in mind, this is always an issue that as an MPO, we struggle with sometimes is we don't own any facilities. So our goal here is to bring funding to the table and highlight a problem, but we understand that the way these projects are successful are through partnerships. So working together with the local municipality and or the county, if it is a county roadway, and then also knowing that speeds are often a factor in determination by the county. That's why the partnership is so important, right? And why this RSA process is actually very good, because the RSA process from the beginning starts with all the partners in the room. So we have those conversations throughout the RSA process. And if necessary, right, there can be a speed study that is done and the speed limit can actually be reevaluated as part of that project.
Great, thank you very much, both of you.
Mark, I have a question. This is Alex Boyer. The FDOT is implementing targeted speed for all on-system facilities and not for off-system facilities. Is it like in the future to implement targeted speed for off-system through the department?
We don't have that primary goal in mind, but again, depending on the type of roadway we're looking at and the roadway safety audit project at hand, that's something we could consider on a case-by-case basis, like Peter had mentioned, but we don't have a broad policy in that regard within the MPO.
Yeah, Alex, great. Yeah, didn't know that FDOT was doing that, but I think that's something maybe the cities or the county can potentially undertake as well as they order the facilities. But definitely offline, I would like to talk to you more about that. I think that's a great initiative by FDOT to do that.
Yeah, the department is implementing this targeted speed when the project is submitting their typical section. But again, we are not doing it for off-system facilities, just on-system facilities.
Yeah, so we'll have to work with the county and the cities on that. But yeah, great. Definitely would love to talk to you more about that.
And just to complement what Mark Brown was saying, that we don't have yet a policy. Yes, we don't have it yet, but the MPO is actually working towards having a Vision Zero action plan. And the idea is to have a safety policy within our Broward MPO. And of course, we would like to work with our different partners. And here we are talking about working with the county, working with DOT, and working with other organizations such as the cities, because we would like to adopt a Vision Zero policy for, countywide. And I was informed actually last week that the county is working towards Vision Zero as well. So you will hear more from this initiative through CSAC. So please stay tuned. And if you are interested, feel free to contact me or Kerry McNeil, because we would like to work with you. And now let's move to the material question. And I know, Mark, you have some great questions. I will start sharing.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. Good.
And the first question that we have here is, what do you think is the greatest traffic safety issue in your city? And the options are speeding, distracted driving, lack of pedestrian or bike facilities, and lack of education. And here is, basically, how people move around. So sometimes we don't know that, for example, bicyclists can go on the sidewalk, or bicyclists can go on the sharrows, and we honk at them, et cetera, et cetera. So it's, lack of education in general, not just drivers, but in general, people, not crossing at the intersection, but crossing mid-block, et cetera, et cetera. So the options, okay, let's see. Mainly, it seems that it's general, people are speeding. And this is also due to, the design of our streets, right? Most of our streets are 45 45 miles per hour. So I think, yeah, we have to do something about how we design our streets in order to slow down traffic. And I know, Mark, you mentioned the safety countermeasures. And of course, managing speed is one of those safety countermeasures. And Christine, I'm glad that you asked about how we're going to work on speed management, because that's one of the the goals of this roadway safety audit. And distracted driving is following, speeding, lack of pedestrian bike facilities. Yes, and all of us were working on trying to provide a better network, a safer network, and hopefully we will get to a point,
Yeah.
when that's not an issue anymore. And let's go to the next. And thank you for participating. We have 18 people, voting. Next question is, does your city organization have a Vision Zero policy? Yes. Oh, we have 4 yeses. Hopefully we have 4 yeses from different cities.
Well, surprised at that, Stephanie.
Yes. So maybe if we can open, the opportunity for those that voted yes, if you can name your city, that would be great. So for us to understand, and of course, reach out to you in the future. So feel free to say yes, my city, and the name of the city.
Hello.
Yes, Doris.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't raise my hand, but at any rate, Tamarack, and we're of course still waiting back for the county's input, but this happened last year that the resolution was passed.
Awesome. Thank you, Doris.
You're welcome.
Perfect. So hopefully we have more cities, and yes, to Vision Zero goals. And yeah, so I think this was the last question. I will stop sharing my screen. And thank you everyone for participating.
Give me 1 second, guys. For some reason I can't get to that. Share. Let me know when you guys can see my screen, please.
You can see it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Brown's question slide.
Perfect. And just to close the loop, one of the things, it's interesting that now safety has become a priority. When I think from our end, the Complete Streets initiative at the MPO, we want to be preventive. We don't want to be reactive to actual crashes. So again, we're going to be asking some of our designers to actually experience the facilities on their own, not necessarily to assess the corridor, but also to experience, to walk and bike. If we're designing these roads for people, we need the designers to go out there and actually experience the facilities, because I think it will give you a better perspective. Yeah, speeding is a problem. Yeah, I think I'm not surprised. It's the number one in our question, in our the question that we asked, because it is a big problem that we have here in Broward. So, all right, with that, thank you, Mark. Thank you all for your questions. Any member updates? Anything that's going on? Any of the members would like to share any information with the rest of the group?
Ricardo, it's me, Alex Boyer. One more thing I would like to mention in regards to safety. Definitely the department and the MPO and all the local agencies, we are implementing lighting retrofit for all intersections. And that's great. That improves safety, there is no question about it. But also the department, the FGT, is implementing lighting retrofit for pedestrian mid-block crossings. And that's great. Now all these 3R projects, it is mandatory. Every time there is an existing pedestrian crosswalk or a proposed one, it has to have a lighting. So that's great. That's one thing I wanted to mention in terms of safety. Thank you.
Awesome. That's awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for that information, Alex. Anybody else? Don't see any hands raised, or so go to the next thing. Well, thank you all for participating. I hope you found this meeting valuable. I mean, we took you from planning, what the MPO identifies projects, to design, and especially how we're designing projects now with multimodal in mind, and safety, not necessarily just capacity, and also the construction folks that came in and talked to you about the coordination that needs to take place with multiple projects happening in the same quarter. So thank you guys for doing that. Any information, you can go to our website to find out exactly what we're doing. Our next meeting is going to be May 9th, 2022 at the same time. Again, we're going to continue meeting virtually through Zoom until otherwise noted. And again, thank you, presenters. Thank you, CISAC members participating today. And with that, you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.